ladies and gentlemen, to move on to the next stage, and this is as far as a plenary discussion is concerned. And we have Karine Boomsma together with Professor Mgendi to come on stage and talk to us a little bit about the next stage. And this is as far as the design thinking, and we're looking at how to create a new enabling environment for a deep, long-term circular change. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Karine with a big round of applause, together with Professor, I see you, Karibu Sana on stage as well for this very important plenary discussion. And as they make their way here, just a bit of housekeeping, okay? Let's try and limit movements here in the plenary. Let's try and keep our phones on silent so that we really get to engage and to listen to this next plenary stage, all right? So let's give them a big round of applause.
Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce, I'm not staying on this stage for now, Professor Mgendi Mrita, which I happened to found through searching for design thinkers in Kenya. And I'm very pleased that you could be here today, Asante Sana. And I will help with this sort of rethinking through design thinking and system thinking today, before we break out in breakout sessions. But what are we actually talking about? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen, and good morning, everyone. Dignitaries, I even see friends and relatives in the crowd. Delegates, and happy International Men's Day to the men in the house. It also happens to be the World Toilet Day, and I'm still trying to figure out the connection between men and toilets, but maybe it's something to do with circularity. If we can just start the presentation so that I get through it quickly. So I'm going to try to connect this conversation of circular economy and design thinking with the African philosophical ethos of Ubuntu. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is the need for empathy, that when you deal with issues of circularity or any issue that you need to co-opt people into, it helps to move along. So you just keep going. I'm just going to just wing it as we go. It's in the interest of time. So as human-centered design suggests, it's design that is centered on humans. This is where design thinking comes in. And the principal attribute that brings design thinking into this space is empathy. Ben Okri speaks about three Africas. He talks about the Africa we see every day. The one they write about, that's the people that are looking into Africa from outside. And then he speaks of the real magical Africa that unfolds before our very eyes in this wonderfully magical way that only we who observe this metamorphosis happens. Okay, I'll just keep going. Now, the idea of Ubuntu, to start with, is a Zulu word. And, you know, Zulu is one of the major Nguni language groups in South Africa. And across the continent, you find the expression of Ubuntu that actually resonates. So in Kenya, in Kiswahili, we say Utu. So it's actually personhood. It's about the humanness. In Botswana is Boto. If you go to Zimbabwe, it's Unhu, and so on and so forth. So this is a concept that is found right across Africa. So I'm going to ask, maybe we can have the video of the dung beetle and then pick up from there as a way of illustrating this.
This insect rolls feces into a ball and pushes it across the ground. But why? Meet the dung beetle, a creature whose entire world revolves around dung or poop. It's their food, their home, and even their nursery. With incredible strength, these beetles shape fresh dung into perfectly spherical round balls, often several times their own weight. Some species are even capable of moving balls over 1,000 times heavier than themselves. Once the ball is formed, they roll it away, looking for a suitable spot to bury it or hide it. But it's more than just a snack, it's a mobile home. The female beetle lays her eggs inside the dung ball, so when the babies hatch, they have a ready meal waiting for them. There are over 6,000 species of dung beetles worldwide, and they come in three main types: rollers, who roll and bury dung balls; tunnelers, who dig under dung piles and bury.
I think that should be the teaser you need. Now go watch as many videos as you can on the dung beetle. Interestingly, it does resonate with the theme of circularity and also the two issues I raised on International Men's Day and the World Toilet Day. Now, dung here is actually an asset that the dung beetle has realized. And in the process of doing what it does, it not only perpetuates its own kind, but it actually contributes to environmental enrichment. And this is something we need to look at when we think of the issue of circularity. So we
And dwellers, who live directly.
Yeah. So the other thing I'd like us to look at is in Africa, as much as there's this myth that there was no writing in Africa, we actually did have writing in the form of pictographs, in fact. And the one that you can see right there is actually, the first one is the Adinkra symbols found in West Africa in Ghana, which are very beautiful stylized symbols, as you can see, and each of them encapsulates a proverb. So for example, if you look at what the symbol for creativity, it's a spider web. The second from the top from the left is intertwined crocodiles, or Siamese crocodiles as they're put. And that is the symbol of interdependence, that you have different bodies and mouths and so on, but your stomachs are the one. And this reminds us of our interconnectedness as humanity. We'll move along. And again, much of this you're going to follow up on your own, hopefully. That's a symbol. Then I talked about this, so we can move on about the focus on communities. And also the way that the concept of Ubuntu actually touches on every aspect of our being. So the first one, you'll see that the human is Mtu. Then you have the Kintu, which is things, which are the non-intelligent things or beings. And then you have Kuntu, which are modal beings or places. And then you have Huntu, which is phenomena. So from people to products to places to phenomena, Ubuntu is actually quite comprehensive. Often we just look at Ubuntu as I am because we are, and we forget the depth of this very rich philosophy. So in a nutshell, Ubuntu, which is the one that I've just referenced, and I prefer the one that actually starts to say that I participate, therefore I am. You cannot practice Ubuntu passively. I cannot express my humanity by just observing other humans. I must get engaged with the activities that affect humanity. And so this is a call for us. When we speak of the circular economy, let's not be spectators. Let's be co-designers in that sense. So we co-design and therefore we transform. Let's transform through design and through the various aspects of what we do. This is simple for leadership. Africa is a massive place. And you'll realize that, again, the issue of just how massive the continent is something we often don't take cognizance of. If you look at that map of Africa, which is the true size of Africa, you recognize that for a continent that has only 1.4 billion people with 54 countries, the whole of the US, China, India, Western Europe, Japan, the UK, and many other places fit comfortably into Africa. If you look at the countries that are represented there, they're close to 5 billion in terms of the actual population. Yet in Africa, we're only 1.4 billion. So there's space and there's diversity. It's a huge place. So what can we do to advance this agenda across this vast continent that we have? Can we start a movement from Kenya and other parts of the continent that actually becomes a Pan-African movement that advances the circular economy? So let's learn from the past. And I'm very happy to see our brothers and sisters from the Ma community here, because they still represent something beautiful about our past that we need to keep in focus. Those are examples of food. Maybe this is too early. I don't want people to go Pavlovian. But then there's also the idea of beauty, which is a symbol that they use over comb. These are two Ndebele women from Southern Africa. You can see the beauty is not just in their appearance, but also their costumery. And I must add, I don't think they're as beautiful as our Maasai brothers and sisters, but that's me, I'm biased. So those are different communities. You can see the Ma people there, and the speakers are there. The Zulus, the Xhosa, and other groups from the continent. Creativity, I spoke about the spider's web as a symbol for creativity. And this kente cloth from Ghana, you see this amazing cloth with very specific meanings for each of the colors. I'm aware that also in the Maasai community that they have so many, there's a range of colors we call red, which start almost at brown until crimson, that I learned through my sociocultural studies. And this is something some of us don't, and men are particularly bad at this. If you see anything that approximates red, sometimes even purple, we say it's red. So we need to celebrate these deeper meanings that exist. If we can, these are braiding styles from the Congo. And each of these actually is a much deeper and richer. It's not just making hair. Actually, they represent cosmology, fractal geometry. And there's a gentleman known as Ron Eglash from the US, who's an ethnomathematician. He's actually done his master's and PhD by studying what he calls African fractals. And he was inspired, as you can see, the digital representation and the hairdos. Again, this is Esther Mahlangu, who's an Ndebele artist, traditional artist from South Africa. And she's in her 90s. She started doing what she does using ostrich feathers and natural pigments. And she's been able to do amazing work. She even painted the tail of a British Airways plane. She's done the Fiat 500, BMW 5 Series, and she's a great ambassador of reminding us why we need to cherish the heritage that we have from the past. Then the idea of adaptability, believe it or not, that's a crocodile. I know the proportions look more like a turtle, but it is a crocodile. And the reason the crocodile is selected is that it can live comfortably both in water and on land. So this as a principle, when we look at circular economy, means we need to look at how we can reuse materials, maybe in different contexts, but they're still valid. Kenya is particularly good, and I'm grateful that we banned single-use plastics back in 2017. So that means we can now become more creative and create more adaptable products. So some of those are images of communities living in environments of mutual support, and that's another principle we need to look into, okay? These are two women from Botswana weaving baskets. This is not uncommon across the continent. But the principle we want to look at here is the idea of collective efficiency, that people work together to do things more effectively. And there's usually a lot of joy in working together because it's not just about making things, it's also about bonding and strengthening societal and communal bonds. These are dugout canoes in Mozambique, made of regenerative material, as you can see. Quality, this is an important thing. So even as we speak of circular economy, let's not skimp on aesthetics. I think many times we are put off by this idea of recycling and circularity because we think that the next generation or iteration of a product is inferior in its quality because it's no longer the virgin material. But I've seen examples of products that are even better in their quality, in their second life, as opposed to the first. So these are examples from Ghana. This gentleman actually is testing something called a fantasy coffin, again in Ghana. The idea that every rite of passage is celebrated, including death, which is that final rite of passage. And this gentleman, fortunately, doesn't have any taboos about death and choosing one's own coffin. And the people of Ghana, what they do is they choose this coffin based on your reputation or what they think you stand for. The people who've been buried in Coke bottles, even KLM aircraft, Mercedes-Benz, they're all made of wood, just in case people start getting a bit concerned. So that videographer was testing his product. He looks pretty happy with it. Then ingenuity is another important principle. And this is based on the Dame Dame board game, which is played also here in Kenya. From the way we build bicycles, we don't think of how they're going to be used in actual reality. Continue. Or the Boda Boda, which was built for one rider and legally one pinion. I've seen these things do crazy things. I've seen them carry even cows and sofa sets, and I can only imagine. I salute the hardworking men, but I'm also concerned about safety on the road. So this image here just reminds us that the idea of appropriateness to context is important when we do circularity. This is again in Botswana in the Kalahari Desert. This gentleman discovered that the engine long died, but that didn't mean the entire vehicle was useless. So he got his 3 donkeys and attached them as the engine, as the driver, and he's still able to use that cabin for carrying people as well as goods. So let's be practical. Let's not be too utopian in our thinking. If every little step, incremental steps do count, even as we head to perfection. Then sustainability, which is really core to this conversation on the circular economy. And I was very happy that there was a discussion earlier on the different aspects of sustainability, the social, the ecological, and the economic. So let's be able to look at sustainability in that sense. So these are some of the projects I personally have had the privilege of being involved in. The one on the left, we did with some friends from Milano in Italy, the Polytechnic. They're developing a vehicle that could use solar and pedal power that could also be used to carry people and goods. The one on the right was a rickshaw in Durban, South Africa, which these particular products came from India around the 1900, the year 1900. But then they were appropriated by the community, the Zulu in particular, so that they would express themselves. And now this is a tourist attraction. If you go to Durban in South Africa, make sure you get onto a rickshaw and enjoy that ride. I'm not sure about what happens with the head gear during strong crosswinds, but the man has a stiff neck. This is an electric vehicle from Uganda, just across. While they're not bullying us, they're usually doing some other creative things. And we can actually see that they're already developing electric vehicles there. If you can move along. Even a bus, electric, fully electric. This is an electric battery that can be charged to power devices like laptops, developed in Cape Town, won some of the best design awards. So again, the idea is just looking at sustainability in a broader sense. Then understanding, let circularity promote goodwill. Let it promote a mutual coexistence. So the Nuru system was developed again by, in fact, one of my former students, which is now an NGO, international NGO. And the idea was to replace those little lamps. I'm sure you've seen them. Where I come from in Greek, we call it Ngwatirantandike. Basically means hold this for me while I make my bed or something. Very cost effective, but also extremely dangerous. So this was replaced with LED lights with power banks. And this was tested in Kigali, Rwanda. Then transformation is another important idea, which we need to look at from circularity. Just keep going. I think people can see faster than I'm even speaking. And then ultimately think about how we can leapfrog from the position we are in Africa right now to a much more advanced space. And the next slide should show that graphically. Okay. This is here just to encourage us. This is one of the most innovative money transfer systems in the world. In fact, it's used as a benchmark. The reason it's here is I'm here to remind us of the greatness that we have as Kenyans. Kenyans are extremely innovative people. So let us use that innovative spirit to come up with new things. The Enda are shoes developed by Kenya's marathon runners. They've been using other people's products. Eventually, they decided, why don't we use our own knowledge of what we need? And now they're in production. Some Kenyan and Ghanaian have started some games. Gamification is a big thing. Picking on our own heroes, Luanda Magere and others who we may have read of, Shaka Zulu and others. So apart from Marvel Comics, who we know all their heroes, we also have to celebrate our history. This is part of the African Robotics Network. This is a Tanzanian team competing in Accra, Ghana, to see who can develop low-cost robotic solutions. And now we're in the age of AI, so we need to think about that. This is a drone port in Kigali. This was the first one in the world where you can use drones to deliver medication and critical blood for transfusion. It takes only 17 minutes from Kigali to reach the farthest corner of Rwanda using this system. Improving quality of life, the role of women. I am a big supporter of the idea that if you invest in women, the multiplier effect is massive. I think there's a saying from Ghana that if you educate a man, you educate an individual. If you educate a woman, you educate an entire community. Men, happy International Men's Day. I've not forgotten you, but this is a shout out to the value of investing in women. So as we come to the end of this, just quick teaser, because we're going to have more discussion later. I'm waiting for the transition quickly. This is bark cloth. Among the Kikuyu community in Kenya, it was used for clothing. These are images from around Kampala in Uganda. And these are products that are made from the bark cloth. You're limited in terms of color, but the material is actually quite beautiful and easy to regenerate. This is a vertical garden in a shack. So even an informal settlement can actually be used using drip irrigation to grow vegetables and things. So this was a prototype we developed to demonstrate that it can actually be done. Then the idea of interdependence and the idea that we need one another, again, going back to Ubuntu, I am because we are, and I participate, therefore I am. I'll skip very quickly through these infographics because I'll need much more time to go through them. But let's talk about biomimicry for a minute. And this is one of the conversations that Karen and I have had. That dung beetle, in biomimic terms, is a champion of biomimicry. Biomimicry essentially means getting inspired by nature or mimicking nature. And if you look at the kind of products that have evolved out of time, like using the technology of gecko's feet to come up with feet adhesives, the bullet train in Japan that was inspired by a kingfisher, the shock absorbers that are inspired by the way birds, again, woodpecker pecks, but somehow its neck never gets broken. Or even Velcro, using the burr plants, the ones that stick on your clothes when you go through a bushy place. So nature is full of examples of how we can actually get inspired and use that innovation in a much more modern way. So as I conclude, and I think this image captures the spirit of Ubuntu best. Ubuntu is not about hierarchy, it's about unity. Or if you break the word community, it's basically common unity. So let us advance this idea of circularity, and the circle that these youngsters have formed kind of emphasizes that point. To keep our economies growing, let us be creative and innovative as the spirit of Kenyans, which I know we have. Let us respect the past, because there's so many things we can get inspired by from the past, and I've spoken about our brothers and sisters from the Maasai community. And also let us learn from nature, and that's why biomimicry is such a powerful inspiration. I thank you, and I look forward to the rest of the conversations.
All right, thank you so much, Professor. Let's give him a better round of applause. And ladies, how many of us just go to the salon, point at the picture and say, Nataka iyo? How many of us have done that over time? I know I have, yes, I know we have. But really, it's a really good reminder, from Professor, that all those things have a meaning and we are all interconnected. So that was very, very refreshing. Thank you so much. And we're just going to have a very few minutes of reflections. Just going to call a few people right here on stage, give them very few minutes to just give us their reflection on what exactly does design thinking mean to them, okay? And first up, we have Tatiana Texiera from Afrowema. And speaking of Afrowema, guys, do you like my outfit? Okay, I do, but do you like, I feel like doing a, runway, but we'll do that a little bit later. And this is courtesy of Afrowema, who have been very kind enough to dress us today. And by us, I mean there's me, there's Karin, if you can see her, there's Jocelyn. Look at them. Please stand so that people can appreciate the beauty of Afro. Very nice. Look at that. Courtesy of Afrowema. Tatiana, I see you. Please make your way here on stage. And also let's have Michael Koech, who's the environment and social lead at Airtel Kenya. If you can make your way to the stage as well. Let's have Belinda Tiena, co-founder, Eco Fashion Week Kenya. I saw you. Belinda, where are you? Please make your way onto the stage as well. Let's have Sarah Njau, managing director, GFS East Africa. If you can make your way as well to the stage. And last but not least, Ernest Chitechi, corporate services manager from KCIC. Let's make your way on stage for very few minutes of reflections and getting to see what exactly does design thinking mean to you. Tatiana, do you want to go first? Yes.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Tatiana. I'm the founder and creative director of Afrowema. I'm actually a biologist that decided to start a fashion brand to support my personal tailor. Design thinking for Afrowema is a team effort. I always bring on board young fashion students or young fashion designers to take part of the creative team. So it's actually a community, a group, planning and a teamwork. Not only promoting the African heritage, but also on sustainable practices. All our pieces are handmade, and we try to use as much as possible what we have available in Kibera, where we're based. So most of our items are reused, upcycled, as was mentioned before. And it's about do it in a practical way that you can reuse in different ways, wear it for different occasions. So it's about extending the life of your product, making it nice. And so that's what design thinking is for me. And our motto is to save the planet with style. So I would like to invite you to see our website, our Instagram, and be part of this movement. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Tatiana. Michael Koech, yes, please make your way to the stage. 2 minutes reflection on what exactly does design thinking mean to you.
Good morning, everyone. So thank you very much. I think for me, my name is Michael Koech. I am the environment and social lead for Airtel Africa. Yes, so design and systems thinking for me. I think I'm in the telecom sector, so ICT, things, electronic waste, technology. So I think for me, the first one in the industry is actually about devices. You cannot make a call without having a device. And so in terms of design, we need to make a device that can be used this year, next year, 5 years, 10 years down the line. I know in Kenya, it's we have this practice where when technology changes, then you give your device to the house manager, and then the house manager gives to the sister of the house manager, and it goes on like that. That to me is about design thinking, because we actually lengthen the use of the device. The other thing is just making sure that our consumers are aware that you have to use a device for long. So raising awareness, making it a practice that it's okay to have the old Nokia transferred from one person to the other. It's okay to bring it back for recycling once it gets into the end of life, because you are able to extract materials that can then be used to make a new one. In terms of infrastructure, before you make a goal again, you, instead of apart from the device, there is this structure that you see. It's called the base transceiver station. That structure has equipment, active equipment that transfers information from your device to the person, to the other person, and it goes on like that. What do we do in the industry? One of the things we do is to actually to share the equipment. It's called co-location. So if you are in a country which has 4 different service providers, not everyone has to build their own. You can actually share, because all you need is to have your equipment mounted on top, and then that structure can actually host even up to 4, 5, 6 operators at a go. What do you do there? You actually save on energy, because if you are to use electricity or a diesel generator where there is no power, you don't have to get 4, 5, 6 diesel generators. You can actually use one. And for that one, you can power all the equipments for all the operators at the same time. So that to me is also about design thinking. There are other practices like use of solar power to power your equipment. In terms of collaboration, I think in our supply chain, we also partner with what people we call original equipment manufacturers. So if you are providing an equipment for telecommunications, you look at it from the way it is designed, how the life cycle from usage, and then once it gets into the end of life, then how is it recycled? Does it have, is there technology that you can replace the modules in there so that you don't have to replace the whole equipment, for something small that has broken down? So it's also about modular design. I think there are so many examples in the ICT sector. There is also reuse and repurposing. So if an equipment is used in Nairobi, and because of the population, the traffic that goes into it, it gets congested, why can't you take it to elsewhere? Why can't you take it to northern part of Kenya, where probably the population is lower and it can still be very useful? So I think there are so many opportunities in the industry, and for me, that is what design and systems thinking is all about. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Coach, for that. And next, let's have Belinda Atieno, who is the co-founder of Eco Fashion Week Kenya. And please, for the speakers, if you see me standing, just know you have exceeded your 2 minutes. So let's try and keep time. Thank you so much, Belinda.
Hello, everyone. My name is Belinda Atieno. And before I speak to the room, I just want you to allow me to exit the room and speak for a moment to a girl who grew up like I did, because I like doing that a lot. To the 10-year-old me in Kibera, and to any teenage girl watching, and every girl sitting in a classroom or standing on a dusty road right now, wondering if her dreams matter, I want you to know that your dream is valid. Even if your parents cannot afford the education you wish for, even if no one around you understands your vision, even if the world feels too loud, too distracting, and too impossible, please do not give up. Do not allow peer pressure, drugs, or dangerous activity steal your future that belongs to you. Because I am here, I did not allow that, and I did not want to shrink myself. So I really like to speak to the younger me before I start. Thank you. And I really, really want to thank you, Karim. Thank you, Josephine. And thank you, everyone who planned this, for giving people like me this platform, because you're not only reaching to me, but you're reaching to a younger girl somewhere who's watching and wondering if they ever will be part of this. So I'm emotional, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So I'm the co-founder of Eco Fashion Week Africa, and we're now on our season 3. We just concluded our season 3. We founded it with my sister. We created this after observing a contradiction in the sustainability space, where many runways branded as sustainable were still producing brand new garments for shows that lasted only for a few hours. Meanwhile, we have a lot of research that says that the world produces 92 million tons of textile waste every year. So even when clothing is made from sustainable fabric, continuous extraction and overproduction still feeds the linear system if our thinking does not change. This led us to this defining question: how can we make less production or no new production aspirational, desirable, and trendy? That's where we created the No New Clothes Runway Challenge, where designers only work with existing materials. You have to work with dead stock, you have to work with thrifted and donated garments and cultural textiles like the bar cloth that was just highlighted here. So this helped us in transforming the mindset, and designers who are hesitant at first were very happy to be part of this. We also reimagine who gets to be seen on the stage, because our models were everyday people. We had people with disabilities on our runway to show how the normal world is, because on the runway, we see it can be a sustainable fashion runway, but we see the same body type. So we wanted to challenge that. So Eco Fashion Week Africa is really not a fashion week. It's an excuse to onboard people into circular fashion. And this season, we worked across 2 countries and 3 cities. We were in Kampala and in Nairobi and Mombasa as well. So we brought together policymakers, children designers, students, and local communities in cleanups, workshop, and panel discussions, and our famous No New Clothes Runway. One of our proudest partnerships is Always Delight School, where circular fashion has become part of the culture, and students tell us you made sustainable fashion feel gentle, accessible, joyful, and relatable. We have been called the most gentle place to learn about sustainable fashion. I just want to close by saying that we cannot design a regenerative world with linear thinking. We cannot celebrate secularity while glorifying endless production. And we cannot build a just fashion system without designing belonging at its center. So at Eco Fashion Week Africa, we will continue rethinking, redesigning, and reawakening what Africa already knows: that circularity is our identity and regeneration is our responsibility. If you've been part of Eco Fashion Week Africa, I want to thank you so much. And if you're not yet part of it, you're welcome to be part of it. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Libby. You okay? Fantastic. All right. Okay, next on stage is Sarah Njau, Managing Director, GFS East Africa. If you are here, Sarah, if you are here, kindly make your way to the stage. Okay. As you prepare, let's have Ernest. Ernest, are you here? Fantastic. Ernest Shitechi, who's a Corporate Services Manager at KCIC. 2 minutes to tell us what does design thinking really mean to you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Ernest from Kenya Climate Innovation Center, a leading hub promoting sustainability, circularity through technology and entrepreneurship. So when we are talking about design thinking for us, we are looking at it from the innovation and entrepreneurship point of view, where we work with enterprises, and some of them you can actually see them at the exhibition, to just work with them in terms of understanding when they're coming up with a product, who is the customer in terms of the problem that they're facing, how do they frame that particular problem, and then start generating creative ideas to solve those particular problems. So the projects that you'll see under exhibition there have been generated where we try and understand from a human perspective If you are talking about, for example, waste paper, how can you redesign a waste paper and make it more reusable? So you'll see a guy there doing some pencils from actually magazines that are used and newspapers. So for us, that is what design is all about. It's also about now helping them come up with prototypes. And as this prototype then bring those ideas to life, and they only help them now to test them in the market and eventually roll them out to become commercial products. So as an innovation center, our role is to work with them through this particular journey, where we look at what is the pressing human need when it comes to circularity, what solution can we provide, and how do we design this product to actually meet that meet the need that is there and also solve that particular problem. And then how do we work with them towards commercialization, whether it's in terms of prototyping, now designing that particular product, how does it look, what features does it need to have to ensure that as it goes to the market, it actually solves the problem that is there. Then finally look at it in terms of how is it going now to create impact in future. Is it going to create more jobs for people? Is it going to make our environment even much better? Is it going to maybe resolve the issues of less use of water, less energy? And that's how we design our design thinking. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Now we're going to actually do this thinking as a food for thought. We're not doing it